Hey everybody, this is Michelle with Mishmash. How's everybody doing today? I hope good, I hope excellent, I hope wonderful. Today's been a really nice, chill day, or maybe well, no. I was gonna say maybe that was just me and I forced it to be that way, but that's certainly not how kids work. So the kids were cool today too, so I was able to just kind of sit and recalibrate, honestly, because we had a very insane weekend, and not in a good way, not in a fun way, unfortunately, but it's all good now. And that's not even what this episode is about, so I'm not gonna go into it, but probably on another episode. Today I wanted to talk about, well, a few things. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk about this Woody Allen documentary. No, it's the Allen versus Farrow documentary on HBO Max. So I've been kind of following this story for a while now. It's super interesting. I guess ultimately I was like, I don't know how to feel about Woody Allen, although I guess it's clear. I mean, outside of the whole Dylan thing, what happened with Soon Yi is like creepy. And sorry, I got my computer here and it's reflecting in my glasses. But yeah, that alone is creepy, and nobody can tell me that it's not. People try to make so many excuses for why that's acceptable, and they're like, well, that's not really his daughter, and she is adopted, and they weren't living together, and she was an adult when they got together. I'm like, I don't care. It's creepy, period, point blank, any way you try to slice it. I just think about kids that I knew when I was younger, even as an adult, and you get to know certain kids or whatever. And then, when you see them when they've grown up and they're adults, and you're like, oh my God, you are just a kid in my mind. Even if you grow up with them, you know what I mean? My kids are kids, but I do that with my kids. They're still babies to me. I do that with my nephews and nieces. Anytime I see them, I'm like, what the fuck even happened? You were just babies. You will always be babies in my eyes. I can't not see that. So I have questions, because I feel like that's a very normal reaction to children, or people that you're introduced to when they're children. So I'm like, Woody Allen was introduced to Soon Yi when she was a child, and he was around a lot, and he was a father figure, and he fucked her. That's gross. That's weird. That brings up a lot of questions. And then on top of that, say you want to dismiss all of that, they clearly didn't get together when she was an adult. And if she was an adult, it's barely. And he's an old guy. So please explain to me how that's right in any kind of way. Not buying it. That's nasty. He's nasty. Fuck him all the way. But I found the whole Dylan thing interesting because when you look at both sides, honestly, objectively, you're like, neither one of these people seem on the up and up. And I'm not talking about Dylan, I'm talking about Mia. The question that kept coming to my mind when watching the documentary is why is Mia talking? This is supposed to be Dylan's story, isn't it? Why do I keep seeing Mia? Why is she telling the story? Why is Dylan herself the footnote in this fucking story, in this documentary? She should be the one hosting it, or whatever you call it, doing all of the interviews. She should be telling the story. She wasn't. She was interjected in every now and then. I thought that was really weird. And then, I don't know, just a lot of things come up, and I'm sorry, I probably should have took some notes. I didn't. I just want to kind of spitball, because this isn't the main thing I wanted to talk about. But when you really look into it and you do research, there's a lot of questionable things to come up. What I did love about the documentary is that a lot of the questions that people had and a lot of the things people throw up to be like, to invalidate Dylan, they address that. To me, I have a problem, especially with a child being like, that didn't happen. Like, let's sit there and ignore that this child said that she was abused. I have a huge problem with that. And I think I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know, from, I guess, my perspective anyway, they really addressed any concern I had when it came to her story. Now, with Mia, I really, and again, I wish I had specifics, but my general consensus, my judgment was like, she's a narcissist, she's an asshole. Oh, go and look up some of their other kids and see how they're faring, because not too well. And I have heard that what a lot of rich people do is they adopt kids and really just have them as slaves, pretty much. Like, I've heard that quite a few times, and it seems like that's what Mia was doing. And she adopted a lot of these kids, and all of the Asian kids, they were her slaves, and took care of the other kids and whatever, which is another question I had during the documentary, because I'm like, how is she able to have a whole fucking relationship with Woody and go off and do whatever? She got these little kids at home, and I guess it was because the other kids were watching the kids, and that's fine, but none of them were really old enough to do that, I believe. I mean, I don't know. To me, I'm like, you got little kids. I wouldn't trust older kids unless they were like closer to adult age with these kids. That's just me though. I do understand other people feel different, but I don't know, just a lot of questions. But you will hear from Moses, I think, is the one that has like a YouTube channel that's talked about this and wrote a book about growing up with Mia, and he's just been abused by Mia. And the other kids try to act like, no, this hasn't happened. They don't know what they're talking about. Maybe that's the case, because without going into too much detail, I've had that experience. Yes, I don't want to give too much detail. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I know what that's like to be going through some shit, and yeah, you got your siblings there, but they don't know what the fuck is going on for real, which just made everything much clearer, so forget whatever I just said. But so I can see how that's a thing. Or honestly, Mia might have had a conversation with her biological children and just like, what I'm doing isn't, wrong or whatever, or set it up in their household where it wasn't wrong, but it certainly feels wrong to the person that it's happening to. I just don't think Mia's on the up and up. I really don't, but I still think Dylan is telling the truth, absolutely. And I think Woody is a gross pedophile. So, and again, I definitely watched that documentary, do some research, look up what's going on with the other kids, like do all that. It's so interesting. And I think it's a great story of how things are not always black and white, how there's always this gray area with everything, and you can't just have things be cut and dry and simple, easy peasy, like Woody Allen. He's a great filmmaker, but he is also a terrible person, and both can be both can be true at the same time. It's not that it even is I can't remember their names, but Farrow versus Allen, it's where one is wrong and one is right. It's like they can both be wrong, and I feel like that's kind of the case here. And I don't know, this conversation has been coming up a lot. I think, I want to say especially with YouTubers, but yes and no. But it's this conversation about separating the artist from the art, and everybody has a lot of good insights and opinions on this and why you should and why you shouldn't. And I guess I just kind of want to throw my opinion in there, where it's like you have to, in a sense. Here's my thinking. You do not have to celebrate the artist to enjoy the art. And I do understand the reality of enjoying and consuming the art lets the artist profit and you don't want them to. I do understand that. I think there are ways around that, which may be illegal, and I'm not condoning that because it is illegal, but there are ways of doing so without giving them profit. Or, for me personally, what I do is just be like, I enjoyed it. I'm not ashamed of enjoying it, but I'm not going to continue to consume it. And that's just that. I loved Woody Allen. I loved his movies a lot. I thought he was just so adorable. I loved him. And I'm trying to think. It couldn't have been exactly when the Sunni stuff happened, because I was pretty young then, but I probably found out about it at a certain point, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. So I kind of slowed down and I stopped and I kind of thought about it, how I felt. And, here's the thing. There's just times where maybe I'll watch something. For instance, with the Woody Allen thing, I'd watch his stuff and I'm like, I can't really enjoy it. I can't get into it. I don't like it. I think I'm done here. With Bill Cosby, it took me a minute. I definitely paused and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then after some time I was like, fuck it, I love it. I love it. This was my childhood. There's a lot of great morals and lessons in here, and I love the characters a lot, and I enjoy it, so I still watch it. I still enjoy it. And it really is just a case-by-case thing. R. Kelly I never got into, so that wasn't a problem for me. He was always really creepy. Honestly, controversial opinion, I don't think his music's that good. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I guess it's just really how I feel. And I think that's fair for everybody, to allow everybody to enjoy whatever they enjoy on their own basis, and there doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to it. Just, I feel okay that I can enjoy this, and I don't feel like I can enjoy that, and that's that. Now, while that's fair, I don't want to ignore the real world repercussions or consequences to doing this, okay? So I don't think it's fair to celebrate these people. I don't know. We just really shouldn't. Honestly, people can do great things and be terrible people. And the thing is, if you look at it a different way, these people are just doing what they enjoy doing, what they want to do. So why do we necessarily have to celebrate it? How many times do you personally get celebrated for the work you do? Whatever that is. No one's I don't know, they have the employee of the month, but isn't that kind of a joke? I don't know how many jobs actually do big things for that, where it actually makes your job you feel appreciated. I know for every job that I had, I've always felt extremely not appreciated, and I've always been told I was one of the best employees for almost every single one of my jobs. Why do we need to celebrate these people? And I'm not going to get into conspiracies. I'm not going to get into Hollywood in general, except for this part. I will say, Hollywood in general, they're all degenerates, okay? Like, this is the problem I have with like saying like we have to separate the art from the artist, or that we shouldn't, and condemn these people and the things they do. It's because I'm like, literally, do you understand we will not be watching anything? We will not be listening to anything. And if that's what we want to do, I'm open to that. But we really have to understand what that means. We really have to understand how deep it is, because none of these people are on the up and up, okay? Like 99%. Now, on top of that, I'm like, okay, and then how do we go forward? Are we saying that to create art, you have to be an upstanding citizen? Like, it's kind of ridiculous in a sense. And I don't want to talk down onto people who think that, but I'm just like, there's not a realistic way to handle this. I wish there were. Like, I'd much, and like, something is so much more enjoyable when you like the person who created it, right? You know, like, it's really, really nice. It's like, I like this thing. This person is unproblematic. This is great. I love it. It makes it so much better. But like, that's just not reality, and we can't really police that, and we really shouldn't. We just kind of have to understand better that there's good that comes with the bad, and there's bad that comes with the good, and let's stop putting these people on pedestals, period. I think honestly, when we get to that point, like, it'll be more of an even field. It'll make more sense. It'll stop being like, it'll stop being a thing so much, you know, because then it's not about it's not about celebrating someone for doing the job they want to do, you know. It's just like, okay, you're doing what you want to do, and I like what you're doing. Cool. And that's it. You're not better than me. You're not celebrated. You're not maybe making more money. You know, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking here, but you know, because I'm sure there can be arguments against everything I'm saying, and they could all be valid. I'm so certain, but I'm just kind of thinking, and I'm like, you know, I think we just kind of need to strip away some of that power. First and foremost, we give these people a lot of power, and then we get really mad when they don't use it responsibly. And I'm like, you know, people with power just really don't use it responsibly in general. How often does that work out? Honestly. So I don't know, that's just kind of my views on the whole thing. And I don't know, I just find it really interesting because, again, like, I'm thinking right now the whole David Dobrik thing is a thing, and I find it interesting because it's a lot. Like, I don't know, this happened in Hollywood not too long ago, where it was just like person after person after person being called out, and everybody was doing something wrong. And now I feel like it's YouTube's turn, and we're like, okay, it's Shane, now it's David Dobrik, and it's, you know, I don't know, other people. I'm not super well versed in the YouTube world. At least certain subsects, because I've never seen a David Dobrik video in my life, and I never will, but you know, these people are being called out and they're being held accountable, except for Jeffree Star, and I really wish it would, you know, but then it's like, well, I think it's different for YouTube, actually, because it's like, can you really separate the art from the artist when the art is the artist? I don't know. I really have to sit and think about it. I think, I don't know, there's definitely people who say they still watch Shane's stuff and they don't like him, but they enjoy his content. I don't think I could ever. I was such a fan. Like, I won't say I was a stan, but I was a fan. Like, I loved his stuff. I cannot watch his stuff. Alright, so you might notice that I have a little bit of a change right now, and that's because the last time I recorded my video, there ended up being a little bit of a technical difficulty, and that was a few days ago, so I have to re-record the ending. Great. But basically what I was saying is just that YouTubers pretty much have a harder way to go to have the luxury of being able to separate art from artists. I feel like the more closer you are to your art, the more you're out there as your art. So like, I feel like it's easier for musicians. I feel like it's easier for like actual like artists and like painters or people who draw or something like that. It's harder for actors, and then like YouTubers who that's what you do, that's who you are. It's gonna be nearly impossible. Like, it's gonna be impossible. You know, I think I was talking about Shane Dawson. That's pretty much a really good example, because I feel like if it wasn't so much about him, and especially about him being such a great guy, then there could be a bit more disconnect, and maybe his career wouldn't be gone. Not that I'm complaining about it, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I never really thought about it before. However close you are to you, how much of your art is you, pretty much is how impossible it'll be to untangle yourself when something goes awry. And what I find really interesting is the high amount of people, artists or celebrities, famous people, how many of them are they're just degenerates. They're just terrible people. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people don't really understand or realize how many of them are just really bad. But that's an episode for another day, I think. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully it was interesting or informative. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or be sure to email me at theameshrush@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. I love you guys. Bye.